Hello, guys. Welcome to my Oscar show. My name is Frankie Pozos, and I'll be doing a little Oscar show for you. I'm gonna talk about the Oscar-nominated films because I saw them because I have no freaking life, and I'm gonna maybe grade them, show you my least favorite to the top, my top pick of what should win Best Picture, and then I'll talk about who's probably gonna win Best Picture. Yeah. So keep in mind, these are just my opinions. It could just be, like you might totally disagree with me. You might think I'm an idiot. But ultimately, these films then got nominated for an Oscar, in which I haven't been nominated for an Oscar. So they already won. And every one of these films isn't terrible at all. Do not ever think that at all. Most of the performances are really great. I'm just telling you, when they're all put together, here's my list. When you put all these good things together, here's what I say and what's the best. And so let's get to it. My bottom pick, which is sucky because I love the actor in this one, is The Intimidation Game. And here is the official synopsis of The Intimidation Game. In 1939, newly created British intelligence agency MI6 recruits Cambridge mathematician alumnus Alan Turing, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, to crack Nazi codes, including the Enigma. Turing's team, including Joan Clark, played by Keira Knightley, analyze Enigma's messages while he builds a machine to decipher them. Turing and his team finally succeed and become heroes, but in 1952, the quiet genius encounters disgrace when authorities reveal he is gay and send him to prison. Well, I like the film. The film is good, but the only issues here is that the performances are way too better than the freaking film itself. I would love if they went deeper into the idea of him building the machine, because they just showed him, I'm like, I gotta build my machine, and everyone's like, you're crazy, and your machine's not gonna work, but you never see his idea of him building it, like, completely, like, the bizarre nature of how he had to have all these deciphers and figure out how to code break, And, or the deal is, like, the film deals with him being gay and having to deal with that in that world. And the film just plays that as a C story, like, oh, he was gay. And then he kind of threads it through, like, oh, I have a secret. But it's not that deep and scary, which it was. The guy kills himself because he was gay. He had all these issues, He actually he got chemically castrated, so he just didn't have to go to jail so he can continue with his work. But ultimately, that killed him inside. And the film just kind of dabbles with it, kind of deals with it. But the film could have been dark and scary, and like dealing with those dramatic things. The problem with it now, it's an ordinary film, a good ordinary film with extraordinary performances, and that, my friends, is not a great thing. Well, second is let's do the next film on my list is Theory of Everything, and the official synopsis to Theory of Everything. In 1960s, the Cambridge University student, future physicist Stephen Hawking, played by Eddie Redmayne, falls in love with a fellow student, Jane Wilde, played by Felicity Jones. At 21, Hawkins learns that he has motor neuron disease. Despite this, and with the help of Jane at his side, he begins an ambitious study of time, in which he has very little of, according to his doctor. He and Jane defy terrible odds and break new ground in the field of medicine and science, and achieving more than any either could hope to imagine. That was Theory of Everything. What did I think of Theory of Everything? Well, Eddie Redmayne freaking deserved that Oscar nomination because he is freaking Stephen Hawking. I mean, I'm pretty sure Stephen Hawking can just hire Eddie Redmayne to do all his talking now, and he can just stay home and play his video games, you know what I'm saying? But his performance is just uncanny. And Felicity Jones just puts up through so much in that film, and I think that's great. But the only problem is the movie, they kind of sell it like it's a love story. And it's not so much a love story. Because he is obsessed with his work, she has to deal with him as he loses almost his motor functions, and eventually loses his voice, and she has to deal with all this, looking like all pained, can't be with anybody else, still loves him, and then eventually, what does he do? He leaves her for his nurse, and which, I mean, she's cool with it, so she could run to another guy, but she lost a lot of years dealing with this guy. And, I mean, I have no problem if the film didn't play it off like a love story, like a hardcore love story, but more of a guy, obsessed genius that will push his whole life and what he is to become the best. I understand those films, but this film kind of didn't go that route, went the other route. And I would have loved that they really delved into Stephen Hawking's whole theory of everything. It just kind of talked about his idea of wormholes and kind of those kinds of topics, but his stuff is just brilliant, and I would just like to hear him talk about the frickin' cosmos and all that shenanigans that I obviously can't bring up right now because I'm not that smart. So, Theory of Everything, that's my second bottom 2 pick. Number 3 at the bottom is, well, not bottom, come on, these are all good films, is American Sniper. American Sniper, here's the synopsis for American Sniper fans, is U.S. Navy SEAL Chris Kyle, played by Bradley Cooper, takes his sole mission, protects his comrades to the heart, and becomes one of the most lethal snipers in American history. His pinpoint accuracy not only saves countless lives, but also makes him a prime target for insurgents. Despite grave danger and his struggle to be a good husband and father to his family back in the States, Kyle serves 4 tours of duty in Iraq. However, when he finally returns home, he finds that he cannot leave the war behind. Wow. Yeah, American Sniper is a very powerful film, directed by Clint Eastwood, I have you know. And Bradley Cooper is really good. You can totally see he is a Navy SEAL badass in this film that I couldn't even imagine. The film itself, it just feels like it's a glorifying, like, the guy is a complete and utter legend, like, almost, like, mythological. And, well, if you look at the recent reports of this Chris Kyle, which, you know, recently deceased sniper, who he was an awesome, badass guy. I'm not downing that. But he said a lot of little lies here and there, little fibs, that he kind of got put into his place when he said he punched Jesse Ventura in his book. But then Jesse Ventura, like, I wasn't even there at that time you said I got punched. And he won a lawsuit, which, I mean, people like, he shouldn't have sued him because Chris Kyle, you know, recently, like, passed away last year. They should have just put the court case away. But he did, you know, mess with Jesse Ventura's name, so Jesse had to protect it. Anyway, so there's a lot of stories where Chris Kyle kind of made lies, made it like he was bigger than he was, but he also is a fantastic sniper. So I just felt the film made him bigger than he was. Like, there's a lot of things where it just feels a little too like he is a god, and it's like, come on, dude, don't do that. Make him like a mortal man that is the best at what he is. That's what I like that. And, you know, instead of just making, like, you know, there's like a scene where he's sniping from the sniping from a building, helping Marines break into buildings to, you know, check every, you know, clear every block, right? And he's protecting them, but he just doesn't trust the Marines, that they're not that trained properly in going inside. So he decides, oh, hell with this, I'm going to go down and help you guys. And so he helps them go in. But I just feel, hey, this might have been a true story, but I just feel that a sniper leaving his point to protect the, you know, guys from the top that go down there and help them go clear rooms, I just feel that is just a no-no in a way, because it's like, okay, you're helping them, but you can just die there and you die. I know he's a legend, but he could have protected them from above, from any kind of scenario, but now you're down in there, so you lost the point. So there's little issues where there just seemed a little too like, alright, I'm the better man than a lot of you guys, alright? So, there you go. But American Sniper, Bradley Cooper, if he wins an Oscar, he deserves it, and the movie is a good movie, so I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I just felt it could have been freaking better. I could have cried, and I didn't cry, and that's a big thing. Well, there you go, American Sniper. Next up we have is Selma. Oh, yes, this is one. The synopsis for that is, although the Civil Rights Act of 1964 legally desegregated the South, discrimination was still rampant in certain areas, making it very difficult for blacks to register to vote. In 1965, an Alabama city became the battleground in the fight of suffrage. Despite violent opposition, Dr. Martin Luther King, played by David Oyelowo, and his followers pressed forward on an epic march from Selma to Montgomery, and their efforts culminated in President Lyndon Johnson signing the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Well, what did I think of Selma? I love Selma. Selma was really good. I freaking cried in Selma, so that's a big thing. I just felt there could have been so much more, I felt. And it kind of just made that Martin Luther King was totally, like he had no help really from Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson didn't want to do anything, which I'm pretty sure that Lyndon Johnson had a lot to do with helping as well. I mean, yeah, he could have been just a freaking idiot white cracker that didn't know what he was like, alright, I gotta help you guys. But he's the one that got it done. I mean, I know people are being beaten up on television and stuff, but, you know, but it kind of makes it like it's totally Martin Luther King's thing. And it's like, no, Martin Luther King worked with a lot of people to get things done. But, hey, The film is beautiful. I also like there's a Malcolm X scene, which people feel it's totally out of, like, it shouldn't be in the film, but I felt it was really cool because Malcolm X comes in looking like beat, like an old general that's been, like, you know, exiled and just wants a battle, and he comes and tells Martin Luther King's wife, like, hey, can I just come and help? You know, you can need me. And they're like, oh, we don't want your people. And he's like, I don't have my people. I just want to be a part of this. You know, I can help. And it's like, you said bad things about Martin Luther King. And he's like, well, come on, just let me do it. But then they turn him away. But then you find out he got assassinated, which is just like, whoa, like, that kind of stuff. I like that. But the film is powerful, great, emotional. All the performances are great. Yeah, so I just have to say, check it out. Selma's good. I just felt it could just be like a lot more better. A lot more better. That's what kind of no. It could have just hit it. It didn't completely crack it out of the park, in which I would have liked. You know, because even it made what's his name, George Wallace, into just a like a normal bad guy, in which he's a monster. George Wallace was a monster, and it just made him just like a guy like, well, okay, I can't do anything about helping them get their voting done. I just don't know. That's the officer's fault, not mine. And it's like, no, dude, George Wallace is the guy that stood in front of the like buildings and didn't let like students come in because they were black. Like, he's a weird sick fuck. And, no, this one was just like, he was kind of just a wily sick fuck, and it's like, no, he's a monster, and they shut it on that. But that's just me. I mean, hey, what can I do? It got nominated for Oscar. It should have gotten nominated for more awards, I agree. So, that's all I have to say about that. Next up, we got the Grand Budapest Hotel. Here's the synopsis. In 1930s, the Grand Budapest Hotel is a popular European ski resort, presided over by concierge Gustav H., played by Ralph Fiennes. Zero, a junior lobby boy, becomes Gustav's friend and protege. Gustav prides himself on providing first-class service to his hotel guests, including satisfying the sexual needs of many elderly women who stay there. When one of Gustav's lovers dies mysteriously, Gustav finds himself the recipient of a priceless painting and the chief suspect in her murder. Well, Grand Budapest Hotel, directed by Wes Anderson, is a freaking awesome, crazy, awesome film. Wes Anderson just keeps on cracking him out. He's my generation or the generation ahead of it, like Woody Allen, cracking out crazy, original, fun stories that are just deep in color and deep in emotion and deep in fun. And cracks out great performances out of great performers that you've already seen, but in different lights. It's just, I can't believe it. And this film just got me thinking through the whole way. It felt like a cartoon, but not. It felt real. It felt like an old-timey film, but not, but new. It's just, and Ralph Fiennes is just amazing. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. The only problem is I would just, maybe, because I guess I'm an old Wes Anderson fan from Rushmore and Bottle Rocket. Like, I want a little bit more of that, not a lot more of the fantastical elements. I think that's my only problem, but, you know, as you can say, I'm a douche. So I'm a douche on that. But I like Grand Budapest, and I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to own it, and I'm going to watch it again and again. So check it out. I mean, it deserves everything it gets. Yeah, that's it. Next up, number 2, we got Boyhood. Boyhood. Here's the synopsis. The joys and pitfalls of growing up are seen through the eyes of a child named Mason, played by L.R. Coltrane. His parents, Patricia Arquette and Ethan Hawke, and his sister, Lorelei Linklater. Vignettes filmed with the same cast over the course of 12 years captured family meals, road trips, birthday parties, graduations, and other important milestones. Songs from Coldplay, Arcade Fire, and other artists capture the time period. It is directed by Richard Linklater. Well, Boyhood. Yeah, this is a film I did not want to like, because I just felt it was a gimmick. Like, he was recording this through 12 years and just popping in, and I felt it was going to be like an HBO documentary kind of thing of like, all right, where's this guy coming from and where he is? And it's like, no, it's a freaking film. And it would be like, you got another actor to play those parts, but they used the same actor every freaking year. They just like kept on checking in with him, and had a full-on arc and story. It's a beautiful film, and it's an awesome film to watch. I mean, it's very low-key and stuff, so if a person wants a bang-bang story, it's not like that. And it's not too intense and weird like Terrence Malick. Not saying that he's weird and intense, but I'm saying the idea that there's scenes where there's no dialogue spoken. There's some scenes like that, but nothing's ever too deep. Nothing's ever too bad, and the dramatic things aren't that hardcore. It's just life. It really is, pretty much. Boyhood. It's like the thing, when it's bad, it is bad, but it's, I mean, there's no, people being decapitated, people not being tortured, kids are not being out back, being spanked, and stuff like that. But just a lot of psychological things of, like an asshole stepdad throwing stuff to, not being around your new dad, your old dad, or your dad, not. It's like a lot of issues like that. And Patricia Arquette and Ethan Hawke are really great. And Patricia Arquette deserves her nomination, hands down. She puts so much into this, and I really liked it. I was blown away. Look, it's my number 2 film. And you saw how much I like Grand Budapest, so that's really interesting that would get, So, wait, number 2. No, I think I got another one. I got 2 more, actually. I don't know how to count. So, yeah, Boyhood. Check that out if you haven't seen that one. It's really a special film. It connects to you, I mean, if you're a young person, probably like 20 or 12, Boyhood would be like, what the hell is this? Because you're going through Boyhood, so you can't be watching it. I mean, if I saw this maybe 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't even like it. Maybe I would. I don't know. But Boyhood. Second up now is Birdman. Well, Birdman. Former cinema superhero Regan Thompson, played by Michael Keaton, is mounting an ambitious Broadway production that he hopes will breathe new life into his stagnant career. It's risky, but he hopes that his creative gamble will prove that he is a real artist and not just a washed-up movie star. As opening night approaches, a castmate is injured, forcing Regan to hire an actor, Edward Norton, who is guaranteed to shake things up. Meanwhile, Regan must deal with his girlfriend, daughter, and ex-wife. Birdman, I really like this film. It's really a performer's film, like about having to deal backstage of being your career, having to act, how to be true, being a lot of crazy things, and juggling all these things. I mean, when I would be acting in like musicals and big things like that, and having to deal with, your love life, your family, and just having to, memorize all these lines, and then doing the show, and then coming back home and having to deal with more issues. This film really hits close to home, same as Boyhood. And it's beautifully shot. I mean, Michael Keaton is just awesome in this, and I'm really glad he's starting to do these roles again, where he is a guy again, instead of just playing, white noise movies or the bad guy in RoboCop. Still, yeah, why was he the bad guy in RoboCop? That doesn't even make any. Oh god. But I was glad I would see him, but he wasn't. Shouldn't have been the bad guy in RoboCop. But, and how this was shot, this was, done by the director of Amores Perros and Babel, and I'm never really, I like Amores Perros, I like Babel, and, what else did he do? He did, forgot, anyway, he's an awesome director. I just always wanted something more from him, I guess, and this one is it, because it's just a fun film to watch. I can watch it again. I don't feel depressed like Amores Perros or Babel. I feel I can go revisit this one. Even though this has depressing ideas and stuff, it's still an awesome, cool film about being a performer, actor, and dealing with a lot of crazy stuff, and dealing with oneself and who you are, and being true to that. And Birdman, yeah, and Michael Keaton, Oscar. If he wins, he deserves it completely. I guess most of these films, all these actors deserve their nominations, but I think Michael Keaton, he probably will win. It might be an upset if Bradley Cooper swoops right in, but I feel Michael Keaton, this is his year. So, Birdman, there you go. And last but not least, my favorite picture of Best Picture nominees, and that is Whiplash. Here is the synopsis of Whiplash. Whiplash. A first-year music student, played by Miles Teller, wins a seat behind the drums in a jazz band led by a teacher, J.K. Simmons, who uses fear and intimidation to push his students to perfection. When I first heard about this film, let me tell you, gang, a movie about drumming. Listen, I'm not a drumline kind of guy. I mean, yes, I played in music band. I played saxophone. But I am not a fan of just drumming. That doesn't make any sense. When I see guys who's drumming out in the street, not a fan. And when I heard there's a film called Whiplash about a drummer being in a band and being tested by his teacher, I did not want to see it. Friends said it was good. Did not see it. I eventually decided I had to see it. It's going to be nominated. I have to see it. So I saw it, and I was completely floored. It's an amazing film and one of my favorite movies of the year, and maybe one of my favorite movies of the decade or my life. Miles Teller just plays an amazing student who wants to be the best in the world, best in the universe of drumming, and being pushed by his teacher almost like an evil villain, pushed to his nth degree to become the best. And it's just one of those plays of like so much tension, so much drum playing, and it's just it keeps you at the edge of your seat. It's real. It doesn't feel claustrophobic like some films that are dealing with those natures of just pretty much two main characters. It's really great. And J.K. Simmons, he has the Oscar. I think it's already in his house. They already brought it to his house. They're not gonna give it to they're not gonna even bring it. They're saving money. That's what I'm trying to say. And Paul Reiser plays the father of Miles Teller in this film. Paul Reiser, I'm glad he's back. He seemed like the guy that was in Aliens, the awesome actor there, the douchebag Burke in Aliens. No, he was like, this is the actor. I mean, he wasn't a douchebag in this, but I felt like this was the guy, like not the guy that wants to be, Jerry Seinfeld. I always felt like Paul Reiser always wanted to be the next Jerry Seinfeld, even though he's another different comedian. I always just felt like, I have to be Jerry Seinfeld. I'm like Jerry Seinfeld. I always felt that with him. Like, what I mean? Like, I need to get the chicks and da-da-da-da. And it's like, no, Paul Reiser, you have a different, game here. You're not that Jerry Seinfeld. You're the other guy. But here, he understands. He's the other guy. He's Paul Reiser. And he was an awesome father in this film. And the film, Whiplash, that's my favorite pick. And I want it to win Best Picture. But sadly, I'm pretty sure it's not going to win Best Picture. You know what movie is going to win Best Picture? Probably Boyhood. The reason why is just that it's been sweeping every awards, and it is just a crazy, iconic film that will deserve it. I mean, people think it's a stupid, gimmicky thing like I thought it was, but I really liked it. It was sweet. It's true, and if it won, I believe it should win. And then ultimately, in the end, guys, if any one of these films win, I mean, I wouldn't be completely disappointed. In the end, a lot of great films never won an Oscar. You know what I mean? And so, like, Apocalypse Now never won an Oscar. Blade Runner, you know what I mean? You might be indifferent about those films, but those films are powerful and changed the world as we know it. And those films didn't win an Oscar. So, it's things you learn. And that's my take, guys. And, my name is Frankie Pozos, and have a great Oscars and enjoy it. And, go see movies. That's what I have to go say. And I guess I'll see you when I see you with another video. Love you guys. See ya.